Hello and welcome to Sunday. Now, we had quite a busy day today, but I think everything I want to talk about is best left for tomorrow because today I spent quite a bit of time writing my latest review, and that would be Panic at the Disco's Vices and Virtues. Now, growing up, Vices and Virtues was one of my favorite albums, I think. It was a time when um, I believe quote unquote, one of my favorite albums. When Panic at the Disco's Too Weird to Live and Too Rare to Die had just came out, and it was a very different album. It was at a point where Brendan Urie had announced, well, he hadn't. It wasn't official yet, but it basically became his solo project, resulting in a few more albums. Hold up, do I not own? I swear I own Pray for the Wicked. Oh, it's right here. I am blind. I yeah, L.A. Death of a Bachelor, and then Pray for the Wicked, and then um, the final album, Viva Las Vengeance, were all solo projects works of Brendan Urie. However, the debut album by the band, "A Fever You Can't Sweat Out," was when the band was a four piece, but due to creative differences after the band had released their second album, Pretty Odd, two members, they would be Ryan Ross and John Walker, left the band, resulting in a album basically made by two people having to pick up the slack. You think it'd probably result in one of the less favorable albums, but to me, it's probably one of the best of the bands. Don't get me wrong, I love Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, but it kind of feels like Brendan Urie was kind of on a downward trend. I really didn't like Viva Las Vengeance, and looking back, Death of a Bachelor was okay. It had some really nice hits, such as Hallelujah, Death of a Bachelor, obviously, Victorious. Um, LA Devotee was pretty good. Impossible Year is fun. House of Memories is okay. Golden Day, like everything I remember um, here, but it wasn't, like the best. And also looking at where is it? It's this one, Pray for the Wicked. Uh, Pray for the Wicked was actually pretty fun. Silver Lining, Say Amen, Hey Look Ma, I Made It, High Hopes. The A side of this is amazing. B side is not too great. I think it's still okay, but I do feel like the last solid record may have been Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, and then before that, Vices and Virtues was amazing, an outstanding record. So let's talk about it. Um, Vices and Virtues ironically came out on the same day as another Canadian rock band's album called Vices and Virtues. No association. It was just a weird coincidence. So let's talk about this Vices and Virtues by Panic. It's 10 songs ish. We'll get to that in a sec. With some really great hits. Ballad of Mona Lisa is a wonderfully strong opener to the album, and it introduces a theme of Baroque pop, which is a musical genre heavily influenced by the mid 1900s, where a lot of classical instrumentation was being used. So we hear a lot of piano, we hear a lot of violins throughout the record, and just wonderful string instrument work. Ballad Mona Lisa is a super strong entry into the album, and the album is very bass and guitar heavy, and hearing that on Ballad of Mona Lisa, super cool. And Mona Lisa is kind of a recurring theme we see in parts of the album. Um, like I said, super fun and a great entry. Next up, Let's Kill Tonight, one of the weaker songs, but you really get the Baroque pop feel. Hurricane, again, one of the weaker songs. Well, again, we'll talk about that. It ends with a piano playing over like a muffled crowd, along with like a trumpet or something. Um, it's okay. It's not great. Like, I would say it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10, which is again pretty decent for an album like this. Um, Memories feels like it's straight out of the early 20, well, late 2000s, early 2010s, which is again right when this came out. It's very pop punk. Um, Amazing guitar solo. Overall, great song. Trade Mistakes, another one. You feel the Baroque pop showing its head. Uh, Beautiful strings, beautiful piano. The album revolves around the themes of having a vice and having a virtue. Each song kind of has like their own deadly sin and like their own counterpart. Trade Mistakes is like all those regrets of having those vices and then like trading them for virtues. It's a interesting theme, and it kind of, you can, if you look hard enough, you'll find things based on that. But I didn't really get too into that. However, the album peaks right in the center. 6 track out of 10. Ready to Go, Get Me Out of My Mind is such a strong, powerful track. It's like a power pop song that's like, oh, it's perfect. It's the usage of synths, guitars, even Yuri's voice is just so good. It's by far one of the strongest tracks on the record. Uh, However, we slow things down with Always, 7th track. It's a Great Gatsby love inspired love story, which I should have pulled my copy out. I think I have it on the shelf here. Um, it slows things down, but it's all right. um, Calendar is next. It's the breakup. It's the main breakup song off the album, and it's breakup song in two ways. One, it's a traditional breakup song, but also it was based on the departure of John and, was it Spencer or was it Dallin? Ryan? I who who was it? It was Ryan and John. Okay, so Ryan and John had left, and that's what we like. That's the song. Also, is about them. However, let's shift over to another person. Sarah Smiles is about Brendan Urie's girlfriend at the time, Sarah, his now wife, and how he was just kind of obsessed with her and wanted to like give his life to her, like spend so much time, like really put all his weight and influence into this relationship. Really beautiful personal song, and it's well done. Closing out the album, however, is Nearly Witches Ever Since We Met. It's a really beautiful song that, like, it's a very grandiose ending to the record. They get a children's choir involved. It's a very big sounding instrumentation, and it's such a grand feeling. The song closes with the concept of Mona Lisa. It's, I believe the lyrics are, Mona Lisa, pleased to meet you, sung by the children's choir, and they kind of brings it back around to the beginning of the record with Mona Lisa. However, I said that there were 10-ish tracks on the record. There are actually 6 bonus tracks. The first is a iTunes bonus track. I believe it may have been a Japan bonus track as well, but it was an iTunes/Japanese pre-order bonus track called Bittersweet. And then there were also additional deluxe versions of, well, deluxe editions had additional versions, being 5 extra tracks. So let's talk about the first one, the iTunes pre-order bonus. It's called Bittersweet. Really beautiful song. It's so good. It's a fun, like, upbeat track, and it's kind of obscure because it's of the pre-order bonus nonsense. Like I said, it's one of my favorites off the album. The first time, I think it was the last song I heard off the album because I didn't even know it existed. Um, it's about relationships being bittersweet. What more can you say? However, there were the other five are the big ones. Kaleidoscope Eyes is another super obscure one. There's four others that are not as obscure, which we'll get to after Kaleidoscope Eyes. It's about it's a very light and like air like it's airy. It's a light sounding track. Like you hear kind of like xylophones and um, that kind of instrumentation. It's like I would say not even like a cowbell. It's like hitting like a very hollow instrument on the percussion. It could be synths. It could be like a weird popping sound with that. But it's about toxic relationships, recurring theme on the album. But let's get to the big four. These bonus tracks really carry some of the weight on the record, and without them, it feels very incomplete. Sure, you get the 10 tracks, but these extra four, like, they're above, they're some of the best on that Panic has produced up until this point, and I really don't think they've ever beaten that peak. First up, Stall Me. Great song. It's like, if you ignore Bittersweet and Kaleidoscope Eyes, which a lot of people do, they're weird ones. Nearly Witches kind of bleeds into that. It's written once again about Sarah. Yuri's basically, talking more about her and how he's willing to invest in this relationship. Uh, the Baroque influences are kind of turned down a tiny bit, I believe, in the bonus tracks here, uh, as it focuses on guitar and drums, but it's such a strong entry. You mostly hear guitars and drums and vocals on the bonus tracks, but like Oh Glory, the next track, is super hard rock. One of the most intensive like hard rock songs that Panic has ever written up to that point, and I believe even afterward. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's super like heavy, dirty bass. Um, it's talking about like struggles in life and how you're just one step away from glory. I Want to Be Free. It's about feeling trapped. More of a traditional rock song again. Um, there's like a weird guitar that plays in the right stereo channel only. That's super nice to hear. But the final song, Turn Off the Lights, might be the best Panic at the Disco song ever. I encourage you to listen to it. You can probably find it on YouTube. It's not on streaming services, but it if you're gonna listen to one, listen to this. It's the perfect closer to the album. Brendan closes it out with his vocalizations, but like it's like everything about it, the piano, the guitars, the drums. I don't even think there's actually a piano, but like the guitars and drums are so perfect. It's like it really lifts this album from like like this carries so much weight. It's being able to close it out like that is so beautiful. And it's like I said, it's one of the best songs they've put out ever. And it sucks that it's like trapped on a deluxe edition that never really released anywhere else too properly. Without the deluxe edition, I kind of gave this album like a 7 out of 10, but with it, it's like 9. It's super super good and a really incredibly well written album about vices and virtues with really great Baroque pop influences. Sure, it has some low points, but all the songs carry a lot of meaning, except Hurricane. Maybe Let's Kill Tonight. Like all the other ones are pretty good. Um, you have some weak ones, but the bonus tracks absolutely are some of the best on on the record, and I hate that they're not officially on the record. You get an additional 2/3 of the album, another 6 tracks, bringing it from like 10 tracks to 6. That's a huge step up, and it's like not even um like weird remixes or like other version. It's songs that absolutely belong on the album, and I hate that they aren't. Maybe one day we'll see a release, but seeing as the band kind of broke up earlier this year, I doubt it. Regardless, that's where I'm gonna call it for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, later.